Hello Internet, my name is Lave and I watched Mission Impossible Fallout, which is the 6th film in the franchise, but the first one to carry over its director from the previous entry, which is Christopher McQuarrie. And of course, Tom Cruise is also back defying gravity and his age as Ethan Hunt, and the title this time round has a double meaning because he's dealing with the fallout from the events of the last film, stopping various fractions of the syndicates selling nuclear bombs, all whilst butting heads with the CIA, who have assigned a trigger-happy agent to the team in the shape of Henry Cavill's August Walker. Now, I really liked the fact that this film picks up from the last one, which means we get Sean Harris back as Solomon Kane, but more importantly, Rebecca Ferguson is back as the MI6 agent Ilsa. I really liked the way that they worked her character back into this story, and the other new addition, Henry Cavill, I was really annoyed that his moustache from this ruined Justice League, so I was hoping this one was going to be worth it, and I'm pleased to say that it is. He's good in this. So I liked those aspects of the film, but then it's also trying to accommodate all of the other familiar faces. So Ving Rhames is back as Luther, Simon Pegg is back as Benji, Alec Baldwin is also back, and it feels like the film is trying to juggle all of these characters, not always entirely successfully. Some will disappear, some will reappear. I mean, one character even says at one point, "Why is this all so effing complicated?" And I was sitting there thinking exactly the same thing. It's because they've got too many characters, which explains why this film is the longest in the franchise, running at 2 hours and 20 minutes long. And a side effect of that is that some of the newer characters feel superfluous. For example, Vanessa Kirby's character White Widow and her character's brother Zola, played by Frederick Schmidt, pop up every now and again. They're basically brokers trying to sell the plutonium for the nuclear weapons, but then send them off on another mission. But ultimately, they didn't really feel necessary. However, I did really like the fact that if you listen to White Widow's introduction to what she's saying, it's revealed that she is a relation to a previous character from a previous film. The film is also trying to tie up loose ends from other previous films, so that's what I mean when it's a bit convoluted and complicated. It's just got so many characters in the mix. But when all is said and done, they're not going for the Oscar for Best Screenplay. Their mission is to entertain us, and they certainly do that by doubling down on all of the action set pieces with ferocious fight scenes, exhilarating car, bike, foot chases, and more aerial stunts you can shake a nuclear bomb at. And of course, Tom Cruise is really doing all of this stuff on camera. I love the fact that they kept the scene where he broke his ankle in. I really admire the guy, despite what's going on in his social life and all of that other stuff. He's so committed to this franchise, and it really shows on screen. He almost looks as cool as I did jumping out of a plane. Yeah. Now, whilst I'm talking about all of the practical stunts, which are fantastic, I just want to point out that I did notice a couple of scenes where you could see the splice between separate shots, and I also want to mention that I did notice some CG moments in it as well. There is some CG assistance. I'm not saying that they didn't do any of this stuff for real, they did, but there is some CG backup. For example, in the obligatory Tom Cruise on a bike scene, there's a moment where he's zipping through in between traffic, and it gave me the same vibes as The Matrix Reloaded with all of the CG cars. That's not a criticism, it's just an observation. It just annoys me when people say that CG ruins big action stunt set pieces, when really the best ones are a combination of the two, and this one does it well. And I also want to add that the final set piece of this film in the final act lost some of its impact for me because they do the whole double jeopardy thing with two events happening simultaneously, so it keeps cutting between the two. I just wish that they stuck with the better of the action set pieces so we could see it in all its glory. That's what we've paid to see, but it's only a small gripe. I do have a couple of others. The score, for example, feels like a rip-off of The Dark Knight and some of Hans Zimmer's other work. I don't think he did the composing for this. If he did, he's just taken unused stuff from other films. And there's also a couple of moments where I thought it was a bit cheesy. I mean, this film is quite self-aware with all of the espionage tropes and cliches, and it calls itself out on it. For example, the ticking time bomb, and they actually say you've got to leave it till the very last second, ha ha ha, wink wink. I think by acknowledging it made it feel a bit cheaper for me, and I think they could have done it a bit better like they did with Casino Royale, where they took the tropes and the cliches and flipped them on their head.
Vodka martini. Shaken or stirred?
Do I look like I give a damn?
At the end of the day, these are minor gripes. Is it entertaining? Is it exhilarating? Absolutely. It's a Mission Impossible film. So that's my thoughts on Mission Impossible Fallout, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. I think of the Mission Impossible franchise as a better, more credible version of the Fast and Furious films. I think it really found its feet in the last two films, and this one does exactly the same again, just doubles down on everything. It's got its problems for sure, but it is absolutely entertaining. If you liked the last two, then you're going to enjoy this one. So thanks very much for watching this review. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give this video a like, and don't forget to share the Lave. Subscribe